There are times when you cannot get permission to use a copyrighted work, or the Fair Use or TEACH Act exemptions do not apply, but you still have options. In this module, we'll talk about 3 alternatives available to you. These include materials in the public domain, resources licensed by the K-State Libraries, and materials with a Creative Commons license. Works that are not protected by copyright law are freely available for public use without asking permission. There are millions of books, photos, artworks, songs, movies, and more in the public domain. These include great classics, such as the works of William Shakespeare, Emily Dickinson, and Beethoven, as well as more contemporary works. Works become part of the public domain for a variety of reasons, but often because they were published before copyright law took effect or the copyright has expired. It's not always easy to determine if a work is in the public domain, but there are some categories of works that are almost always public domain. Generally, all works that were produced in the United States prior to 1923 are public domain. Millions more published as recently as 1963 are also in the public domain if copyright was not renewed or works were published without notice. U.S. government works are in the public domain, as are works donated to the public domain by the copyright owner. There are tools to help you make an initial determination of copyright status. One is the digital copyright slider. Moving the red arrow to the date of first publication will indicate the copyright status and if you need to request permission to use the work. Be careful when the slider indicates Maybe in the permission box. The Maybe indicates the work is under copyright, but exceptions such as fair use may permit you to use the work without seeking permission. In such cases, be sure to evaluate fair use carefully. Another good resource is Peter Hurdle's Copyright Term in the Public Domain in the United States. It has categories for many different types of works and indicates a corresponding length of copyright. Some of the major sources for public domain works include Google Books, Project Gutenberg, the Internet Archive, Library of Congress, the National Archives and Records Administration, and U.S. government materials. There are many more depending on the medium you're looking for. Consult Stephen Fishman's Public Domain Resources for specific sources for written materials, music, film, maps, and more. Another good resource is Google Books. Let's say you're looking for a book on North American birds that has text and illustrations that you can use without requesting permission. Go to Google Books and click Advanced Book Search. Enter keywords in the All of the Words search box. In this case, I'll enter North American Bird Illustrations. Click Full View Only, which will return only those books for which the full content is available online. Select Books, then scroll down and select Return Content Published Between, and enter 1923 in the last box. This will retrieve only books published in 1923 and before. Scroll back to the top of the page and click Google Search. A number of books are retrieved, and if I click on this link for Birds of North America, it leads to the full text of the book. I'll pull down the link for Contents and jump to the end of the book where the plates are located. And here's an example of one of the illustrations. Because the book was published prior to 1923, it is in the public domain and any of its contents can be used without permission. Another option is to use materials licensed by the Kansas State University Libraries. The library subscribes to many databases that offer high-quality digital art and architectural images, music, audio files, and videos. The licenses allow for educational use of these digital materials in classroom instruction and in research by faculty and students affiliated with K-State. Some of the many sources we subscribe to that can be legally incorporated into your course content include ArtStore, Archivision, Naxos Music, Smithsonian Global Sound, and American History and Video. To access these resources, start at the library's homepage and click Databases. On the database's homepage, you can browse by the name of the resource or by subject. For example, I'll pull down the subject menu, select Arts, and then click Go. Click the link for ArtStore, and I'm ready to search for images within the ArtStore database. The third option is to use materials with a Creative Commons license. Copyright is a case where all rights are held by the copyright owner, but a Creative Commons license allows some of those rights to be available to others. The creator can choose the uses they will allow, such as copying, editing, distributing, sharing, or creating derivative works without the need to seek permission. Creative Commons does not replace copyright, but it allows for some rights reserved. Creative Commons offers several different licenses, and these can be combined in a number of ways. If a creator decides to make their work available under the Attribution license, for example, anyone is free to use the work in any way as long as they credit the original creator. This license can be combined with other licenses that restrict commercial use, restrict creating derivative works, or require that any derivative works be licensed the same as the original work. To verify that the work you intend to use is licensed under Creative Commons, look for the Creative Commons icon where you would normally look for the copyright symbol. This article, for example, carries the Attribution, Non-Commercial, and Share Alike licenses. Several sites offer ways to search for content licensed by Creative Commons. A good place to start is the Creative Commons search site. From here you can search for text, images, music, and videos from the sites shown here. Start by clicking the site you'd like to search. Here I'll click Google Images. This takes me to a Google search site, then click Advanced Search. Enter your search terms. Here I'll enter grain bins, and notice there are a number of tools for limiting the search. Under Usage Rights, it's possible to select among several Creative Commons licenses, including commercial use and derivative works. Here I'll select Labeled for Reuse, then scroll to the top of the page and click Google Search. Images shown here have a Creative Commons license for reuse and can be used without permission. If you plan to use the images commercially or to modify them, then select the appropriate license from the Usage Rights menu. Finding alternatives to copyrighted sources can be an effective and time-saving approach to your work. Consider using works in the public domain, resources licensed by Kansas State University Libraries, and materials with a Creative Commons license in your research and teaching.